My name is Eleonora Whitcomb, and until 6 weeks ago, I believed I had mastered the quiet, deliberate art of becoming invisible. I do not mean the tragic invisibility of being ignored in a bustling cafe when you raise a tentative hand for service, nor the self-protective cloak you weave after losing a partner and realizing the universe will not halt its great, grinding gears for your grief. I mean the gentler, chosen sort, the relief of asterisk slipping from communal memory. For most of my 62 years, I carried myself the way autumn fog wanders the Avon Valley behind my cottage outside Bath, soft, silent, undemanding. I stitched curtains for parish fetes, minded my friend Yara's bookshop 2 Fridays a month, and spent chilly evenings rereading Austen with a tumbler of elderflower gin. My name had been printed in the local paper exactly once, when I won 3rd place for my rosehip marmalade in 1994. A tidy, ordinary life, neat edges, muted colors, no surprises. Then came the phone call from my granddaughter, Maribel Clemency Wren *, clever, flame-haired, 22, self-crowned empress of an online kingdom I barely understood. She studied fashion communication in London and counted followers, the way my bridge club counts tricks. Maribel loved me, I never doubted that, yet she loved her digital stage a breath more. A stage on which a grandmother was quaint background decoration at best, comedic prop at worst. On that soft gold October afternoon, I stood on a step stool, rehanging lace runners in the conservatory. The phone rang. I gripped it between shoulder and ear while tugging a stubborn hook. Greater than Maribel, breathless, distracted. Asterisk. Nana, quick question. What are you wearing to my end-of-term showcase next week? Greater than Hunger. Greater than Hunger. Greater than me? Teasing. Asterisk. I planned something radical. A cardigan. Greater than Hesteris. Greater than Hesteris. Maribel. Nervous laugh. Asterisk. Cardigans are fine, but the theme is future vintage. Maybe we could elevate. We volleyed playful banter. I promised to elevate. We ended the call, I thought nothing more of it. That same evening, my friend Yara appeared waving her iPad like a paddled tennis racket. Greater than Yara, asterisk, asterisk. Have you seen what your granddaughter just posted, Ellie? I squinted at the screen. A 10-second video looped, Maribel in her dormitory mirror comparing outfits. Caption blazed. When your grandma shows up in chunky knits and orthopedic shoes, asterisk hashtag tooled for this. Underscore. A second clip followed. A stock photo of an elderly woman, not me, struggling with a smartphone, overlay text, send help, asterisk. The comments, hundreds, poured like quicksilver, asterisk. Tell Granny it's 2025, not 1925. Asterisk. Asterisk orthopedic chic. Tears of joy. Asterisk. Asterisk. Just replace her with an AI hologram. Asterisk. My cheeks stung as though every pixelated laugh were a slap. Yara's fingertips tightened on my arm. Greater than Yara? Asterisk. Asterisk. She's young, Ellie. Hungry for attention. Doesn't realize the cost, but I did. Words spoken to a screen can still pierce flesh. Maribel texted apologies. Nana, it's trends. Nothing personal. Yet that night, under my grandmother's quilt, I replayed the clip until shame burned holes through my composure. I am not fragile. Widowhood, hip surgery, and the slow erasure of one's relevance. These forge a spine of tempered steel. By dawn, I traded humiliation for resolve. If my granddaughter thought me outdated, I would offer her a future she could never predict. ###, the unlikely invitation. 3 days later, the Bath Guildhall buzzed with preparations for the annual *** Winter Wardrobe Charity Gala, a fashion meets philanthropy event raising funds for homeless shelters. Yara's cousin, Gideon Lamb, a soft-spoken designer renowned for mixing reclaimed textiles with couture silhouettes, was desperately seeking last-minute models of all ages and body types. Yara, ever my conspirator, dragged me to the rehearsal hall, bolts of fabric draped over lamps like sleepy giants, seamstresses stitched until needles hummed. Gideon paced, hair like a silver halo, murmuring about authenticity. Greater than, gereither gogahil for cans. Greater than, asterisk. You have courage. Decisiveness, would you walk for me? Greater than me, startled, asterisk. I beg your pardon? I hadn't strutted anywhere beyond the garden path in decades, yet something fierce flared beneath my ribs, the dormant thrill of possibility. I heard myself say yes. Papers signed, measurements taken, fittings scheduled, ###, training wheels on the runway. Over the next week, I learned the alchemy of presence. Shoulders down, core engaged. Each step a planted flag declaring, Terps exist. Gideon's assistant, Kala, taught me how to breathe in synchrony with the music's heartbeat. My reflection, once muted, blossomed under structured jackets of midnight velvet, trousers cut to glide over my surgery-scarred hip. News of my enlistment floated through Maribel's social feeds like a mischievous sprite. She sent a flurry of rapid-fire messages. Greater than asterisk, Nana, modeling? This is a lot. Asterisk, greater than asterisk. You could get hurt on those heels. Asterisk, greater than asterisk. Maybe sit this one out? Asterisk, concern perhaps. Control, certainly. I thanked her politely and ignored all warnings. ###, dress rehearsal and digital daggers. The night before the gala, we held a full run-through. Guildhall ceilings arched overhead like cathedral naves. Chandeliers scattered antique light across polished oak floors. I wore Gideon's showpiece, a jacket stitched from repurposed Regency draperies, crimson piping tracing my shoulders like comet tails. Kala adjusted my collar when she gasped. I followed her gaze to a balcony where a phone lens glinted. Within minutes, a new post from Maribel surfaced, a shaky zoom of me wobbling slightly during a turn. Caption: Someone rescue my Nana before she breaks a hip grimace. ### runway relic. The comments sickened faster than an overturned milk carton. Asterisk. This is elder abuse. Asterisk. Asterisk. Imagine the ambulance bill. Asterisk. Fashion necromancy. Asterisk. I excused myself, fled to the cloakroom, and locked the door. My breaths came shallow, ragged. The mirror reflected not poise but a trembling impostor. Memories collided. The day Jeffrey, my late husband, taught our daughter to ride a bicycle. His steady palm against the seat. His whisper, balance comes from trust, love. Jeffrey's hand is gone, yet the lesson remained. I lifted my chin. If balance is trust, then I must trust myself. I re-entered the hall. Kala's relief shone. Gideon clasped my hands. Greater than me. Steady. Let the ambulance wait. I'm ready. ###, the night of reckoning. On the evening of the gala, Bath's December air bit like peppermint. Paparazzi clustered behind rope lines. Reporters angled for quotes. Yara sat front row, knitting needles, clicking nerves into scarves. Backstage throbbed with adrenaline. Young models, cheekbones like ice cliffs, eyed me with mingled curiosity and respect. Kala fastened the final piece. A floor-length coat woven from discarded theater curtains, embroidered with constellations in pale gold thread. The music surged. Spotlights birthed twin paths of molten silver. When my cue arrived, I stepped into the glare. I did not wobble. The world melted to a single note. Heel, toe, breathe. Heel, toe, breathe. I felt centuries younger, yet profoundly ancient, like a cliff shaped by endless tide. At the turn, I pivoted slow enough for the embroidered stars to swirl, a galaxy in human form. Gasps replaced laughter. Camera shutters mimicked applause. But as I neared the runway's end, I caught sight of Maribel, half hidden, filming from her phone, eyes wide as moonlit ponds. Our gazes locked. I smiled not in triumph but invitation. Come walk with me. She lowered her phone. Tears glimmered. ###. The viral storm. By dawn, Clips of my walk detonated across every platform. Grandma Chic redefines runway. Asterisk silver-haired Siren Steel show. Gideon's lineup sold out in 38 minutes. The gala raised triple its target. But the largest aftershock rattled Maribel's world. Her followers, once eager to jeer, now chanted praise for the runway relic. Maribel's latest video, an apology, garnered a fraction of the views. She rang me at noon, voice small, greater than Maribel, asterisk asterisk. Nana, I'm proud. Also, terrified. They love you more than me. Greater than me, softly. Asterisk. Love isn't a pie, darling. Slices multiply when shared. I offered tea at my cottage that weekend. She agreed. Yet fame, like a rogue tide, does not recede politely. Within 48 hours, national morning shows requested interviews. A glossy magazine proposed a cover. An avant-garde Paris house emailed an invitation. I faced a choice bigger than cardigans. Retreat to fog-safe anonymity or stride farther into the blaze, embracing every wrinkle as a badge of narrative. I thought of Jeffrey, of balance through trust, and of a generation starving for proof that life after 60 can still flicker neon. So I drafted an answer to Paris. I typed one sentence, hovered over send, heart drumming, and then crack. Glass shattered at my front window. A brick tumbled across the Persian rug, a note tied round its middle. I froze, pulse roaring. Outside, a car engine revved away. Hands trembling, I unfurled the note. Words scrawled in marker. Greater than, stay off our screens, fossil. We didn't follow you. Don't ruin what we built. Maribel's college crest was sketched beside the threat. Thunder rolled over the hills. A storm brewed. Would the courage that carried me down the runway carry me through a darker spotlight? I clutched the brick as rain began to drum the roof, and in that echo I heard Destiny's next beat. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're from. If this story moves you, please subscribe. Tomorrow, I have a special story for you. Rain thrummed a low, furious timpani against the cottage roof as I stood rooted in my sitting room, the brick still warm in my palm. Outside, taillights bled down the lane and vanished into the mist-slick hedgerow. The note, crumpled now, edges damp with my sweat, sat on the bureau beneath Jeffrey's framed photograph. His kind brown eyes seemed to ask, "What will you do, Ellie?" And beneath that silent question, the deeper one, "What will you become?" Moments earlier, I had been basking in the afterglow of the charity gala, drafting a gracious acceptance to the Paris atelier that had dared to invite me, a 62-year-old grandmother, to walk in their avant-garde couture presentation. Now the breath of violence cooled my cheeks, undoing the warmth like frost across a window pane. I reached for the phone but paused. The police? Yes, of course. But first, my granddaughter. The crude crest sketched on the threat was unmistakably Maribel's Fashion Society emblem, yet I could not, would not believe she had orchestrated this malice. Someone, perhaps, wished to wound her through me, or to punish me for stealing a spotlight reserved for youth. #T for 2 and 1,000 unsaid things. Maribel arrived the next morning precisely at 10, punctual as a railway timetable. She stepped from the rideshare clutching an overnight bag and a bouquet of pale chrysanthemums. No filters, no ring light glow, just a young woman with freckled cheeks blotched pink by the cold. I opened the door. For a heartbeat we stared, the distance between us a chasm carved by 1,000 comments. Then she flung her arms around my shoulders. Greater than Maribel. Voice hoarse. Asterisk. I'm so sorry, Nana. For everything. Every hashtag. Every joke. I hugged her back, breathing in the unfamiliar citrus shampoo that replaced her childhood scent of raspberry bubblegum. In the kitchen, steam ribboned from the teapot while rainwater sighed along the gutters. I laid the brick on the table beside the note. Maribel's eyes widened. Greater than Maribel. Asterisk. Asterisk. Who would do that? It looks like our society logo, But, Nana, I swear on Granddad's grave, I didn't send it. I'd never hurt you. Greater than me. Asterisk, asterisk. I know. But someone wanted me frightened. We sat, hands cupped round porcelain, and for the first time in years we spoke without screens mediating our words. Maribel confessed how her online persona, sardonic, hyperbolic, had begun to devour her true voice. Sponsors demanded ever-sharper content. Algorithms rewarded mockery. Vulnerability felt like a weakness. Predators smelled. I listened, tracing the rim of my teacup, remembering my own youth in the 70s when expectations were embroidered differently, yet still constrictive. Perhaps each generation invents new corsets. Greater than me. Asterisk, asterisk. Your wit is quick, darling, but quickness can cut. Faster than you intend. Tears slid down her cheeks. I reached across, wiped one away with my thumb. We agreed to call Detective Inspector Farrow at the county constabulary. He arrived by noon, a burly man with rain-dark hair and a notebook smelling faintly of leather polish. He photographed the brick, bagged the note, and promised to review local CCTV. Greater than D.I. Farrow. Asterisk, asterisk. It may be a prank, Ms. Whitcomb, but threats escalate. We'll station a patrol on your lane tonight. Maribel shivered. I squeezed her fingers beneath the table. Hash, hash, hash. An invitation wrapped in fear. News of the brick never reached the tabloids. Farrow, bless him, saw to that. But my forthcoming Paris appearance had already sprouted wings. Gideon Lamb's publicist rung to confirm flights. The atelier sent digital lookbooks brimming with geometric silhouettes, each audaciously tailored to my measurements. Yet the note's menace clung like nettle barbs. When I told Maribel I still planned to go, she protested. Greater than Maribel, asterisk, asterisk. What if the threats follow you? Paris is bigger, louder, worse. Greater than me, asterisk, asterisk. Fear is a thief, my love. It steals not merely the moment, but the shape of who we might become. I invited her to accompany me, not as chaperone, but collaborator. She could document the journey honestly, shedding the snark, revealing craft, courage, the backstage grit. Reluctance softened in her eyes into something like hope. Greater than Maribel, asterisk, asterisk. You'd let me film? Greater than me, asterisk, asterisk. On one condition. You tell the truth, even when it trembles. She nodded. A pact forged. Hash, hash, hash. Crossing the channel. 5 days later, we boarded the Eurostar at St. Pancras. Maribel balanced 2 cameras, a gimbal stick, and a canvas tote bursting with charging cables. I carried only Jeffrey's watch and a slim volume of Dorothy Parker essays for steadying sarcasm. The train tunneled beneath the channel, a steel arrow through chalk and salt water. Maribel interviewed me between tunnels, her lens a small, attentive eye rather than a weapon. I spoke of my childhood in Wiltshire, spinning in my mother's bomb-mended garden, the smell of lilac and coal dust. Of how, at 40, I shelved dreams of stage acting to nurse Jeffrey through lymphoma. She listened, mouth parted, as though meeting a stranger whose story she cherished anyway. When we surfaced into French daylight, notifications pinged on her phone. Early edits of our footage, posted raw, were drawing unexpected engagement. Comments marveled at the gentle cadence, the absence of ridicule. Asterisk. Feels like sitting with my own Nan. Asterisk, someone wrote. Maribel showed me, eyes shining. I squeezed her elbow, silently grateful. Hash, hash, hash. Hotel Saint-Victoire. The atelier lodged us in a boutique hotel near the Seine, all wrought iron balconies and scarlet geraniums. A concierge delivered an envelope sealed with wax, rehearsal schedule, security passes, and a handwritten note from Time Quantichem. Armand Devrier asterisk, creative director. Greater than asterisk. Madam Whitcomb, your elegance has already traversed oceans of expectation. I await the honor of carving new constellations with you. Asterisk. Beneath his flourish, a postscript. Beware false friends in borrowed silk. Asterisk. I read it twice. A poet's flourish, perhaps. Or something darker. That evening, while Maribel uploaded travel vlogs, I padded out to the balcony. Parisian winter air carried distant accordion strains. Lights twinkled upon the river like scattered sequins. Somewhere below, a motorcycle backfired. My heart skittered. The brick's memory hadn't faded. Rehearsal and rivalry. The next morning we entered the atelier. An industrial loft garnished with vintage chandeliers and bolts of fabric as vibrant as stained glass. Models drifted like exotic birds. I met M. Devrier, slight, impeccably groomed, eyes the green of absinthe. He kissed both my cheeks and pressed cool fingers to my pulse. Greater than Devrier. ***. Madame, you are the heartbeat of this collection. Les Renaissance. We rise at any age. He introduced his star model, Sabine Roux, a statuesque 26-year-old whose cheekbones could slice moonlight. Sabine's gaze examined me with a collector's detachment, weighing value, threat. Throughout rehearsal, Sabine shadowed me, mirroring turns, muttering suggestions in honeyed French that dripped contempt. When I paused at the runway's midpoint as choreographed, she clicked her tongue. Greater than Sabine, whispered, ***. You stop too long, Grandmere. Audience will sleep. I answered in the same language. Years of schoolgirl lessons revived. Greater than me, softly. ***. Better they dream than choke on envy. Her lips thinned. Sabotage beneath the lights. Dress rehearsal under show lights unfolded like waltz in warfare. My assigned gown, a cascade of deep indigo silk with hand-cut appliqué swans, hung backstage until 8 minutes before call. When Calla, who'd flown in with Gideon's blessing, lifted it from its garment bag, she gasped. Slashes marred the skirt, jagged as lightning. Panic hiccuped through the dressing suite. Devrier stormed in, eyes volcanic. Sabine's assistant shrank behind a clothes rail. Calla, ever rapid, proposed a solution. Convert the damage into daring panels of negative space, underlaying sheer midnight tulle. Devrier's fury cooled into speculative delight. Greater than Devrier. ***. Yes. A phoenix of fault. 5 minutes. He snapped fingers. Seamstresses pounced. Needles flickered like fireflies. Meanwhile, I steadied my breathing, recalling Jeffrey's bicycling mantra, balance through trust. I trusted these artists, trusted my body. Trust transformed fear into concentration. Maribel filmed everything, her voice low but urgent, documenting sabotage and resilience in real time. With 60 seconds left, the gown re-emerged. Ruined, yet reborn. The slashes revealed constellations of skin along my calves and hip, scandalous by society matron standards, breathtaking under the chandeliers. I walked, the silk-brewed notes of night sky round my stride. As I pivoted at the end, flashes erupted, an electrical storm of awe. The audience did not sleep. The accusation. Backstage cheers dissolved when security officers entered, flanking Devrier. They escorted Sabine's assistant, a wiry young man named Jules, handcuffed, muttering protests. Devrier apologized to me profusely, but an unease lingered like smoke. Sabine herself was absent. Later, hotel corridor lights flickered as Maribel and I returned from celebratory macarons. A shape glided from the stairwell, Sabine. She stepped into the glow, mascara streaked. Greater than Sabine, voice grated. ***. They blame Jules, but he is loyal. Someone framed us, perhaps you, to appear heroic. Greater than me. Calm, ***. My heroism is stitched from honesty, not deceit. Her laugh was brittle. Greater than Sabine, ***. Paris crowns favorites, then buries them. Watch your back, Whitcomb. She vanished into the stairwell, footsteps echoing like departing drums. ## viral redemption. While we slept, Maribel's behind-the-scenes footage exploded across platforms. The slashed gown, the frantic repairs, my steady walk. Headlines bloomed. Sabotage cannot stop Silver Swan. Followers poured to Maribel's channel, praising her raw storytelling and newfound respect. She woke me at dawn, tears of relief on her lashes. Greater than Maribel, Asterisk, asterisk. Nana. They love the vulnerability. It feels human. Greater than me. Asterisk, asterisk. Truth loves an audience that hungers for it. We embraced, both trembling with gratitude and fear. Shadows at Le Grand Palais. The main show loomed 2 nights away, set in Le Grand Palais, a vast glass-domed palace where sunlight and starlight mingle. Security tripled. Still, anxiety pooled in my stomach when I glimpsed unfamiliar faces near service doors. Detective Farrow texted updates. The brick's fingerprints matched none in police records. CCTV captured only a hooded figure. Devrier rehearsed us on the new runway, its surface a mirror so polished each step looked like walking on black water. At the center, an automated dais would rise, revealing the finale model, me, in a couture suit made of reflective silk sari remnants, intended to scatter prisms onto the vaulted ceiling. Maribel marveled, filming from the wings, but I noted the platform's mechanics groaned faintly, overstrained gears perhaps. Calla promised engineers would service it before show night. A letter in crimson ink. Returning to the hotel that evening, we found an envelope slipped beneath our door. My name handwritten in looping script. Inside, a single Polaroid, me at 14 competing in a county theater showcase, smiling in a tattered costume. Across the image, crimson ink spelled, curtain call, asterisk. My knees buckled. Maribel caught me, guided me to the bed. Who possessed such an old photograph? Only my late mother's trunk held originals. Greater than Maribel, whisper. This is obsession, Nana. We phoned D.I. Farrow. He liaised with French police. A plainclothes officer was assigned to the Palais, yet terror had already slithered inside me, coiling round resolve. Dress run disaster. Show night arrived, journalists thronged, violinists rehearsed under the dome's acoustics. Backstage smelled of hairspray and tense ambition. My reflective suit fit like second skin. Each movement sprayed shards of color onto surrounding walls. Yet the dais still groaned. Devrier muttered at technicians. Maribel, microphone clipped to her blouse, prepared to livestream the finale exclusively for her newfound subscribers. She squeezed my hand. Then, chaos, someone screamed. Smoke belched from a lighting rig. Sparks rained on gowns. Sprinklers sputtered, but did not activate. Sabotage again. Models scattered like startled doves. Devrier cursed in French thunder. Security evacuated the hall. Outside, sirens wailed closer. In the tumult, I lost sight of Maribel. Heart pounding. I searched corridors thick with smoke haze. At a service exit, I glimpsed Sabine, coughing, ushering Jules into a taxi. Her eyes met mine, wide with genuine fear. Not her doing then. A shiver of intuition turned me toward the darkened southern wing, where storage crates stacked like tombs. Footsteps echoed. A lighter tread. I followed, calling my granddaughter's name. A figure emerged. Tall, hooded, face obscured by a black surgical mask. In their hand, a canister of accelerant. My throat constricted. Greater than me, steady, yet trembling. Asterisk. Where is Maribel? They tilted their head, silent. Then a familiar voice, muffled, breathy, greater than voice. Asterisk. Asterisk. You took everything, Eleonora. They adore you. I built that world. It was mine. Recognition struck like a plunging elevator. Poppy Henderson, Maribel's closest rival at university. A rising influencer notorious for trendjacking. I'd met her once at a dinner. Her handshake limp, smile brittle. She stepped closer, eyes wild. Greater than Poppy. Asterisk, asterisk. I warned you. Stay off our screens. She raised the canister. Vapor hissed. My next breath tasted of petrol. Suddenly, behind Poppy, a metal crate shifted. Maribel burst forth. Hair singed, camera clutched like a shield. Greater than Maribel, shouting. Asterisk. Poppy, stop. It's live. Thousands are watching. She had already started streaming. Poppy froze, eyes darting to the red record light. In that heartbeat of hesitation, I lunged, knocking the canister aside. It clattered, spewing butane across the concrete. Poppy shrieked, fled through a maintenance door. Alarms recommenced, louder. Maribel dropped the phone, grabbed my hand. We ran, smoke thickening. Overhead, glass roof reflected orange flickers. Sirens outside blurred into primal wails. As we burst onto the loading bay, fresh air sliced my lungs. Fire crews surged past. Security restrained Poppy near the gates, her mask askew, tears cutting mascara tracks. I doubled over, coughing, while Maribel wrapped her coat around my shoulders. Cameras. Media this time, not hers. Crowded. Questions volleyed. Flashes blinded. I looked at Maribel. She looked at me. Terror. Relief. Fierce pride braided in her gaze. Then a paramedic checked my pulse. And frowned. Greater than paramedic. Asterisk, asterisk. Your heartbeat is irregular, ma'am. We're bringing the ambulance. My vision wavered. The night sky, domed glass, siren lights, all swirled into kaleidoscope. I felt myself sinking, weightless. As darkness rushed, one thought tolled like a bell. Jeffrey, give me balance. I can't fall now. Deepest register of my heart answered him. Not with dread, but with the dull flare of anger that had taken 6 decades to properly kindle. I carried the brick to the kitchen table as though it were a rare fossil. The rain's drumming turned insistent, rattling the small panes until each rivulet glittered in the lamplight like solder on stained glass. My cottage, once a womb of lavender and gingham comfort, suddenly felt brittle, a doll's house laid open to storm and malice. I set the brick down beside the note and reread its crooked command. Greater than stay off our screens, fossil. We didn't follow you. Don't ruin what we built. The college crest was unmistakable. Maribel's University, stylized threads of laurel and loom, yet the handwriting was jagged, masculine. Whoever had penned it wanted me to imagine an anonymous mob, but the singular violence of the brick betrayed something smaller, the desperate fury of 1 or 2 frightened children. A log shifted in the hearth, sending sparks up the flue. My mind, quick as seamstress fingers, began stitching possibilities. Jealous classmates jealous of her familial redemption arc. A rival influencer protecting their algorithmic throne. A bored prankster. Each theory snagged on the same fraying thread. Maribel. Whether victim or accomplice, she hovered at the nucleus of this hostility. I brewed a psalm so strong it stained the china and phoned Yara. She arrived 15 minutes later in waterproofs that made her look like a saffron-colored heron, and listened in tight-lipped silence while I paced. When I finished, she removed the note from my trembling grasp and flattened it with a knuckle. Greater than Yara. Asterisk, asterisk, we call the police. Greater than me. Asterisk, asterisk. And hand them what? A child's scrawl and a smashed pane? They'll sympathize, pat heads, and leave me with a bill for glazing. Greater than Yara. Asterisk, asterisk. This is escalation, Ellie. She gestured to the brick as though it were a viper. I folded my arms, feeling the weight of Gideon's borrowed velvet dressing gown sag at my elbows. Greater than me. Quiet. Asterisk. Escalation demands an equal rise. I won't hide. What rose inside me was not bravado, but something older, ancestral, flinty. The women of my line had fled homelands, wars, bankruptcies. They taught daughters to stand their ground when the world tried to shrink them. No algorithm would succeed where poverty and patriarchy had failed. Hash, 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 a train through tempest. By dawn, the rain had eased to a weeping drizzle. I secured plywood across the broken pane, packed a small leather valise, and printed the Eurostar confirmation Gideon's assistant had emailed overnight. An itinerary to Paris in 48 hours for final fittings and publicity sessions. The choice I'd made at my desk, go, had solidified into steel. Yara insisted on driving me to Bath Spa Station. As the countryside blurred beyond the windscreen, hedgerows drenched in pewter light, she made me promise to text hourly. Greater than Yara. Asterisk, asterisk. If Paris so much as sneezes in your direction. Greater than me. Asterisk, asterisk. You'll be the first to know. We hugged on the platform. The train arrived, slick with rainwater, doors hissing open. I settled into a seat by the window, removed a folded sheet of stationery, and began composing a letter the old-fashioned way, ink and intention, to Maribel. Words spilled in neat rows: honesty, disappointment, love, boundaries, an invitation to walk beside me rather than ahead. I had almost finished when a shadow fell across my table. Greater than voice. Gentle, male. Asterisk. May I? I looked up into the eyes of asterisk. Detective Sergeant Leon Hartley, CID. Badge glinting beneath a waxed barber jacket. Early 40s. Close-cropped salt and pepper hair. A face troubled by sleeplessness. Greater than Hartley. Asterisk, Ems Whitcomb. I'm investigating a harassment complaint you filed months ago regarding prank calls after your husband's death. Your name came up again overnight. Greater than me. Startled. Asterisk, I never filed. Greater than Hartley. Asterisk. Exactly. Someone else did. Using your details. They referenced online abuse and potential financial exploitation. The report was thin, but last night's incident puts weight behind it. He produced photographs of the brick, the note. My pulse skipped. Greater than me. Asterisk. How did you obtain those? I haven't. Greater than Hartley. Asterisk. Anonymous email to the station, time-stamped 312. GPS traces to a coffee shop near St. Pancras. Maribel's campus lay a mile from that coffee shop. Greater than Hartley. Lowering voice. Asterisk. Ms. Whitcomb, I believe someone is trying to protect you, albeit clumsily. The train lurched into motion. I gestured at the empty seat. Greater than me. Asterisk. We have an hour to London. Sit. Tell me everything. ###. Webs and weaving. During the journey, Hartley outlined a theory. A digital extortion ring targeting micro-influencers, students, young designers, offering engagement boosts in exchange for money or favors. Failure to comply resulted in smear campaigns, threats, sabotage. Maribel's rapid ascent and my sudden virality had caught their attention. The brick, he posited, was not envy, but leverage. Frighten the elderly mascot, leverage the granddaughter's guilt. I listened, fists knotting in my lap. Erasmus-era philosophers wrote of honor as a garment. I felt mine rumpled, stained. My granddaughter in danger, and I partly the cause. Greater than Hartley. Asterisk. I can't legally dissuade you from Paris. But be cautious. Publicity is oxygen to these leeches. Greater than Mott U7's tories me. Wantad horde im me. Easy chu we. Visibility is also armor. They rely on shadows. He considered me with a half smile. Greater than Hartley. Asterisk. Then let me shine a torch from the crowd. We exchanged numbers. At St. Pancras, he escorted me to the Eurostar lounge, promised agents would discreetly monitor the venue in Paris, and disappeared into the commuter tide. ###. City of light, city of long shadows. Paris greeted me with brittle blue skies and an air cold enough to carve. Gideon's team had commandeered a suite at the Hôtel du Petit Palais, a limestone jewel overlooking the Seine. Racks of garments lined the sitting room like sentries. The collection, Renaissance Réclamé *, had evolved since Bath. Corsets fashioned from antique drapery, capes pieced with lace, salvaged from bombed churches, trousers dyed with coffee grounds. Gideon's genius lay in honoring ruin without fetishizing it, transmuting loss into luxury. Yet tension simmered beneath the atelier's perfumed surface. Kala whispered of hacked emails, vanishing fabric bolts, sponsorships withdrawn at the last minute. Gideon paced, circles under his eyes as violet as bruises. Greater than Gideon, hushed to me, *. Someone wants this show strangled in the womb. My arrival, he confessed, was both creative boon and PR risk. *. Silver siren, * headlines drew buyers. but trolls flooded comments with coffin emojis. We rehearsed in a cavernous converted train depot in Lafayette. The runway, a railway track polished to mirror sheen, stretched beneath iron trusses crusted with century-old soot. I donned my first look. A tailor jacket made of repurposed Cotswold tweed, raw edges embroidered with gold thread shaped like ivy tendrils. As I stepped onto the track, a whistle's echo from distant sidings overlapped the show's ambient soundtrack, an eerie, beautiful coincidence that prickled gooseflesh along my arms. Halfway through my pass, the lights dimmed, then blacked out entirely. Gasps rippled in the dark, followed by the metallic clang of something heavy striking the track. When emergency lamps flickered, a mannequin torso lay decapitated at my feet, crude graffiti sprayed across its papier-mâché chest. Greater than asterisk, hashtag defossil, asterisk asterisk. Callus screamed. Tex scrambled. Someone yanked me backstage. My heartbeat thundered like the train wheels that once rolled these tracks. Hash 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 confrontation under sodium light. Security corralled us in a corridor lit by buzzing yellow tubes. Gideon's voice shook as he conferred with venue officials. I found a folding chair, lowered myself carefully, and inhaled until my lungs stopped rattling. Maribel entered the corridor then, face blotchy, mascara streaked. She rushed toward me, but Gideon intercepted her. Greater than Gideon, sharp. Asterisk, this is your fault, your circus of followers, your drama. He jabbed a finger perilously close to her chest. Maribel recoiled as though slapped. Greater than me, horse. Asterisk. Gideon, my single word carried the quiet weight of cathedral bells. He stepped back, chastened, and I motioned for Maribel. She knelt before me, hands trembling. Greater than Maribel, asterisk asterisk. Nana, I swear I don't know who's doing this. I tried to shut it down. I reported the accounts. They multiply like mold. The more I delete, the more they post. She produced her phone, thumbed through hateful messages, death threats, doctored images of me in a coffin. One text read simply, market value drops when antiques flood supply. Asterisk. Greater than me, softly. Asterisk. Did you file a false police report? Her eyes widened. Greater than Maribel. Asterisk asterisk. I was scared. After the first nasty comments, I thought if I made it formal, the trolls would back off. I used details I found online about you. It was stupid. I'm sorry. She swallowed. Greater than Maribel. Asterisk asterisk. And I think I know who's behind this. A silence thick as velvet unfurled. Greater than Maribel. Whisper. Asterisk. Professor Lucien Rimbaud. He teaches digital branding. Runs a consultancy mentoring student influencers. Some of us call him the algorithm whisperer. He offered me a growth package, guaranteed 6-figure followers, for $5,000. I declined. He didn't like being refused. My jaw tightened. Exploiting youthful ambition, stoking generational spite. This Rimbaud was a parasite masquerading as mentor. Greater than me, asterisk asterisk. We go to the police, the press, everyone. Greater than Maribel, asterisk asterisk. He is, the press. He has editors on speed dial. He could ruin Gideon, me, you. I stood, joints cracking. Greater than me, asterisk, asterisk. Then we ruin his hold instead. Lightning flickered outside the high windows, echoing electricity returning to the venue. Show managers announced rehearsal would resume in 40 minutes under heightened security. Greater than keeping to me. Asterisk. We can pull your segment, protect you. Greater than too flat. Asterisk. If I retreat, they win. Hash hash hash. Needle and sword. I spent the break in makeup, an apron of old linen draped round my shoulders. A young artist, dusted silver shimmer across my cheekbones, as though forging armor from stardust. Maribel hovered, eyes dark with worry. Greater than me, gently, asterisk. You once said I was too old for transformation. Tell me honestly, what do you see now? She hesitated, then touched the faint crow's feet at my eyes. Greater than Maribel. Asterisk, asterisk. I see tomorrow. And it scares people who sell yesterday. Her voice cracked. I pulled her into an embrace that smelled of hairspray and tears. 20 minutes later, the lights rose. Music cued. I stepped onto the rails again, the mannequin carcass removed, but its message sizzling in memory. I walked, shoulders square, heart hammering. At the halfway mark, one paused, turned, not scripted, and addressed the audience in calm, ringing English that carried to the rafters. Greater than fear ages faster than flesh. Dignity is recyclable. And courage, I tapped my sternum, is one size fits all. Phones erupted in a forest of upraised arms. The applause began hesitant, then surged molten, drowning the memory of graffiti in a tidal roar. Backstage, Gideon wept openly. Journalists clamored. But as I reached for water, Maribel charged toward me, panic blanching her freckled cheeks. Greater than Maribel. Breathless. Rimbaud just posted a deepfake video of you saying hateful slurs. It's spreading. Brands are freezing deals. She thrust her phone forward. On screen, a hyper-real version of my face contorted in vile rhetoric against the young, the queer, the poor. Shares mounting by the second. My stomach lurched. At that same instant, Detective Hartley called. I answered on speaker, greater than Hartley. Voice crackling. Asterisk. Ellie, Rimbaud's people planted malware in Gideon's live stream servers. We've traced it to a warehouse in the 12th arrondissement. I've got warrants, but I need an eyewitness to identify the operators. Will you ride along? I looked at Gideon, Ashen, and Maribel, shattered. The runway lay behind me. A darker stage beckoned. Greater than me, steady. Asterisk. Text me the address, we're coming. I stripped off the couture jacket, climbed into my walking boots, and followed Hartley's directions out into a Paris night crackling with sirens and digital wildfire. Midway down the hotel stairs, my phone buzzed again. A blocked number, video call. I answered. Professor Lucien Rambaud appeared in low light, eyes glittering behind wire-rimmed spectacles. Greater than Rambaud, silken. Asterisk. Turn back, Madame Whitcomb, or tomorrow the world sees you commit crimes you cannot imagine. He tapped his screen. A progress bar crawled across the image. Uploading 47%. In the thumbnail beside it, I watched a counterfeit me kneeling before a Nazi flag. Before I could speak, the call ended. The bar continued its merciless creep. Outside, a siren wailed closer. I squared my shoulders, tucked my phone into my pocket, and stepped into the drizzle. And as the warehouse lights flickered in the near distance, my heart whispered two words, equal parts prayer and promise. Greater than stop him. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The uploading bar reached asterisk, asterisk, 59%. The road beneath my boots trembled with the approach of police vans. And perhaps at last, justice. Beat. The storm outside seemed to inhale with me. A single vast breath that stretched the rafters and flexed the ancient leaded glass, as though the whole cottage were deciding whether to stand with me or surrender to dread. I stared at the note again, those thick, furious marker strokes, the crude sketch of Maribel's college crest. Ink had bled where rain had kissed the paper. It looked like bruising. Violence, real and immediate, had breached the lavender-scented safety of my little world. It was one thing to be mocked online by strangers with cartoon avatars and paper-thin bravado. It was quite another to have a brick hurled through my window by hands of flesh and bone. The grandfather clock in the hall chimed 9. Each bell toll shivered down my spine. I pressed my palm to the brick's roughness. The thing still radiated cold from the rain, and placed it on the kitchen table beside Jeffrey's old magnifying loupe. My late husband had used that loupe to examine his stamps, searching for rare watermarks invisible to a naked eye. Tonight, I borrowed his methodical calm. Step 1. Secure the scene. I switched on every lamp, banishing shadows. The cottage lit up like a lighthouse. No hiding places for lurking cowards. Step 2. Document. Yara had taught me that the phone in my pocket was not merely a tether to drama but a tool. I photographed the shattered pane, the brick, the note, close-ups and wide shots. I even filmed a slow pan of the room so the shattered glass glimmered under the flash. Evidence. Proof. Step 3. Reach for help. Asterisk. Asterisk. The police switchboard answered after 7 rings. I gave my name, address, and the facts in a voice steadier than the thump of my pulse. Greater than Constable Dawes. Asterisk. Asterisk. We'll send a car, Mrs. Whitcomb. Stay indoors. Doors locked. Stay indoors. The brick had already traveled through indoors. Still, I locked the door, then rang Yara, who promised she would come once the police left. I forbade it. Night roads, wet and winding, were no place for her rickety Citroën. Last, I called Maribel. She picked up on the second ring. Greater than Maribel, sleep-heavy. Asterisk. Nana? Everything okay? I told her, calmly. About the brick? About the crest? The threat? Silence yawned on the line. Greater than Maribel. Voice small. Asterisk. I don't know anyone who'd... Nana, I swear I never. Greater than me. Asterisk. Asterisk. I'm not accusing you, darling. But someone wants me quiet. Greater than Maribel. Asterisk. Asterisk. I'll come first train tomorrow. Greater than me. Asterisk. Asterisk. Only if you're safe. We'll talk after the police have their report. Yet even as we ended the call, a thorn of doubt lodged under my ribs. Not doubt in Maribel's innocence. She was impulsive, yes, but not cruel. Rather, I doubted her awareness of the world she had built. A world where strangers felt licensed to police the boundaries of who deserved attention. ###, blue lights, and broken glass. Constable Dawes arrived with his partner, a slim woman named Havers, whose gloved hands moved with economical precision. They took statements, bagged the brick, lifted smudged fingerprints from the note. Dawes peered at the crude crest. Greater than Dawes. Asterisk. Asterisk. Could be a student prank. Could be obsession. We'll run the prints. Meanwhile, install a camera if you can. Greater than me. Pike. Pike. Asterisk. Shall I hire a bodyguard? He didn't laugh. After they departed, silence returned. Not the gentle hush of fog, but a brittle quiet that threatened to crack under the weight of my thoughts. I swept glass into neat piles, patched the window with cardboard and duct tape. Practical tasks, small anchors. When I finally sank into bed, the pillow smelled faintly of rosemary shampoo and fury. I lay awake until dawn, eyes tracing the pattern of raindrops racing down the temporary cardboard pane, each rivulet a tale of gravity's pull. ###, the morning after courage. Gray daylight seeped through the kitchen blinds. I brewed strong tea, added an illegal splash of whiskey, and scrolled through the overnight explosion of my inbox. Gideon Lamb wrote first. Heard about last night. Paris still wants you. Security will be tight. Your choice, Ellie. Then a cascade. Journalists, agents, talk show researchers, even a podcast titled Asterisk, Asterisk, Gray and Glorious, Asterisk, Asterisk, requesting an hour of my candor. Their subject lines gleamed like fishhooks under a dim pier light. I closed the laptop. I had 2 instincts: retreat or advance. Retreat would mean letting the brick succeed, letting fear crumple me back into invisibility. Advance meant stepping onto a stage bigger and brighter than any I had imagined, carrying not only my own dignity, but a torch for every woman told she was too old, too fragile, too irrelevant. I made toast, spread honey, and drafted a reply to Gideon. Count me in. ###, Maribel's arrival. By 10:30, the doorbell rang. There she stood. Cheeks wind-raw, mascara smudged from tears not yet shed. She stepped inside, set her luggage down, and the dam burst. Greater than Maribel. Asterisk, asterisk. Nana, I'm so sorry. I thought followers were just numbers. She sank to the floor amid the glass shards I had missed, heedless of glittering danger. The way children sit on playground gravel. I knelt beside her and gathered her hands. Greater than me. Asterisk asterisk words are stones, Mari. We choose whether to sling them or build. She cried then, real shuddering sobs that rocked her frail frame. I held her until the storm passed. In that dim corridor, I felt a shift, an unspooling of invisible thread that had tethered her self-worth to her online reflection. Perhaps this shock might stitch something truer. The plan. Over tea we devised a truce with the world of screens. Maribel would temporarily disable comments across her channels and issue a clear condemnation of harassment. Not an apology for my sake. Apology was personal, but a public stance against cruelty. Greater than Maribel. Typing. Asterisk. If you're here to cheer on hate, unfollow now. My Nana's life is not your punchline. Meanwhile, I placed a call to Gideon's security consultant, a woman named Viveka Sorensen, who summarily booked me a hotel in Paris with a pseudonym and promised discreet protection. The fashion house would cover costs. After all, controversy sold tickets, and I was, inadvertently, hot controversy. By evening we had rail tickets for the Eurostar, leaving in 2 days. Yara insisted on house-sitting. She armed herself with pepper spray and a baseball bat she nicknamed Ophelia, greater than Yara, grinning, asterisk. Let them throw more bricks. I'll teach masonry. Laughter carved relief through tension. Departure. Paddington Station glittered beneath vast iron ribs. Travelers milled like startled starlings, scarves fluttering. Maribel wore an oversized hoodie and sunglasses. I, a charcoal trench Gideon, had couriered with strict instructions. Travel chic always. The train sliced through green fields turned silver under winter sun. Maribel dozed, head on my shoulder. I watched hedgerows blur, thinking how the line between digital and tangible could vanish just as swiftly, leaving only motion. On the tray table lay a magazine with my photograph from the gala, smile serene, eyes aflame. The headline, asterisk, Age of Elegance. Meet the 62-year-old model rekindling British fashion, asterisk. I wondered what Jeffrey would say. Likely something maddeningly calm. Enjoy the ride, Ellie. Trains rarely reverse. Paris. City of light and long shadows. Gare du Nord greeted us with diesel tang and accordion buskers. Viveka met us, tall, cropped blonde hair, suit cut like a surgeon's scalpel. She scanned crowds effortlessly. Constable Dawes arrived with his partner, a slim woman named Havers, whose gloved hands moved with economical precision. They took statements, bagged the brick, lifted smudged fingerprints from the note. Dawes peered at the crude crest. Greater than Dawes. Asterisk. Could be a student prank. Could be obsession. We'll run the prints. Meanwhile, install a camera if you can. Greater than me. Rye. Asterisk. Shall I hire a bodyguard? He didn't laugh. After they departed, silence returned. Not the gentle hush of fog, but a brittle quiet that threatened to crack under the weight of my thoughts. I swept glass into neat piles, patched the window with cardboard and duct tape. Practical tasks, small anchors. When I finally sank into bed, the pillow smelled faintly of rosemary shampoo and fury. I lay awake until dawn, eyes tracing the pattern of raindrops racing down the temporary cardboard pane, each rivulet a tale of gravity's pull. The morning after courage. Gray daylight seeped through the kitchen blinds. I brewed strong tea, added an illegal splash of whiskey, and scrolled through the overnight explosion of my inbox. Gideon Lamb wrote first. Heard about last night. Paris still wants you. Security will be tight. Your choice, Ellie. Then a cascade. Journalists, agents, talk show researchers, even a podcast titled Asterisk, Grey and Glorious. Asterisk, requesting an hour of my candor. Their subject lines gleamed like fishhooks under a dim pier light. I closed the laptop. I had two instincts: retreat or advance. Retreat would mean letting the brick succeed, letting fear crumple me back into invisibility. Advance meant stepping onto a stage bigger and brighter than any I had imagined, carrying not only my own dignity, but a torch for every woman told she was too old, too fragile, too irrelevant. I made toast, spread honey, and drafted a reply to Gideon. Count me in. ###, Maribel's arrival. By 10:30, the doorbell rang. There she stood, cheeks wind-raw, mascara smudged from tears not yet shed. She stepped inside, set her luggage down, and the dam burst. Greater than Maribel. ****. Nana, I'm so sorry. I thought followers were just numbers. She sank to the floor amid the glass shards I had missed, heedless of glittering danger, the way children sit on playground gravel. I knelt beside her and gathered her hands. Greater than me. ****. Words are stones, Mari. We choose whether to sling them or build. She cried then, real shuddering sobs that rocked her frail frame. I held her until the storm passed. In that dim corridor, I felt a shift, an unspooling of invisible thread that had tethered her self-worth to her online reflection. Perhaps this shock might stitch something truer. ###, the plan. Over tea, we devised a truce with the world of screens. Maribel would temporarily disable comments across her channels and issue a clear condemnation of harassment. Not an apology for my sake. Apology was personal, but a public stance against cruelty. Greater than Maribel typing. ***. If you're here to cheer on hate, unfollow now. My Nana's life is not your punchline. Meanwhile, I placed a call to Gideon's security consultant, a woman named Viveka Sorensen, who summarily booked me a hotel in Paris with a pseudonym and promised discreet protection. The fashion house would cover costs. After all, controversy sold tickets, and I was, inadvertently, hot controversy. By evening, we had rail tickets for the Eurostar, leaving in 2 days. Yara insisted on house-sitting. She armed herself with pepper spray and a baseball bat she nicknamed Ophelia. Greater than Yara, grinning. ***. Let them throw more bricks. I'll teach masonry. Laughter carved relief through tension. ###. Departure. Paddington Station glittered beneath vast iron ribs. Travelers milled like startled starlings, scarves fluttering. Maribel wore an oversized hoodie and sunglasses. I, a charcoal trench Gideon, had couriered with strict instructions. Travel chic, always. The train sliced through green fields turned silver under winter sun. Maribel dozed, head on my shoulder. I watched hedgerows blur, thinking how the line between digital and tangible could vanish just as swiftly, leaving only motion. On the tray table lay a magazine with my photograph from the gala, smile serene, eyes aflame. The headline, ***, Age of Elegance. Meet the 62-year-old model rekindling British fashion. ***. I wondered what Jeffrey would say. Likely something maddeningly calm. Enjoy the ride, Ellie. Trains rarely reverse. ###, Paris. City of light and long shadows. Gare du Nord greeted us with diesel tang and accordion buskers. Viveka met us. Tall, cropped blonde hair, suit cut like a surgeon's scalpel. She scanned crowds effortlessly. Greater than Viveka. ***. Ms. Whitcomb, welcome. We've arranged private fittings tonight. Show is 3 days away. Any threats? You tell me. Ideal. The hotel suite overlooked the Seine, rooftops glinting like pewter plates. Yet glamour couldn't hide the tremor in my hands when I unpacked. Brick memories stowed themselves in every drawer. ###, fittings and frenzy. Designer Etienne Duchamp's atelier smelled of cedar and espresso. He greeted me with air kisses and immediate critique of my English posture, apparently too reserved. He wanted languid power, feline shoulders. I practiced prowling under his tutelage until my calves burned. The gown, a column of midnight silk interwoven with reclaimed audio cassette tape that flickered silver under light. Technology turned textile, a poetic rebuttal to those who said elders couldn't master new mediums. *## Back at the hotel, Maribel scrolled her phone with cautious optimism. Greater than Maribel, ***. Your fan accounts are multiplying, Nana. There's even Eleanora Love Club, but trolls still lurk. We read a few comments together. Praise, awe, scorn. One chilled me, ***. Old witch stole the spotlight. Let's snuff her candles in Paris, ***. Viveka forwarded the same threat to Interpol's cybercrime unit. She also doubled security, assigning a guard to our floor. Greater than Viveka, ***. Could be hot air, could be flame. Never assume cold. ### rehearsal on the grand stair. The venue, Salle des Miroirs, a forgotten Belle Epoque ballroom, revived for the show. Mirror panels climbed every wall, chandeliers sighed under crystal weight. As we rehearsed, the mirrors fractured my reflection into infinite versions, past Ellie's waving back at present me, urging courage. Etienne's creative director Henri approached, iPad in hand, greater than Henri, ***. We introduce you last après tous les jeunes. Spotlight solo. Music drops to a heartbeat. Can you carry that silence? I smiled. Silence is older than sound. I'll manage. ###, the fire alarm. Dress rehearsal ended at midnight. As we collected coats, alarms shrieked, clanging, strobing. Smoke curled beneath backstage curtains. Panic surged. Models stampeded in stilettos. Viveka shoved Maribel and me toward an exit. Outside, cold air knifed lungs. Firefighters arrived. Flames licked a storage wing, devouring crates of costumes. No injuries. But early investigations suggested arson. Henri, ash-speckled, reported the fire-consumed outfits for 3 veteran models. Mine, stored separately for alterations, survived. So did the younger models' ensembles. A targeted hit. Security footage revealed a hooded figure slipping through a side door, dousing fabric with accelerant, the silhouette slim. Perhaps a student. Fear coiled. My success had provoked not mere envy but violence again. Etienne convened an emergency meeting at dawn. Insurance could cover losses, but time could not. He contemplated canceling the elder segment. I spoke before my courage wilted. Greater than me, ***. Don't sideline age because hatred fears visibility. Let us walk. In charred silk if needed. My voice trembled yet rang through the mirrored room. The other senior models nodded, eyes fierce. Etienne exhaled. Greater than Etienne, ***. Then we rebuild. Phoenix Couture, ###, rising from cinders. The next 48 hours blurred into scissors, seams, and sleeplessness. Young interns hacked soot-smudged gowns into new shapes. Henri sourced metallic mesh from theater warehouses. We seniors became living installations of resilience. Dresses stitched with singe marks left intentionally raw, symbolic scars. Maribel chronicled the rebirth on stealth videos uploaded to her feed, titled, Myre Fagel Wrong's Room. Spiri skied. Ski Birdhay was #Phoenix Runway. This time her captions honored craft. ***, watch Nana turn smoke into starlight. ***, followers soared, trolls dwindled, perhaps unnerved by unwavering authenticity. ###, night of the show. Security checkpoints frisked every clutch bag. Police dogs sniffed cables. Viveka's earpiece buzzed constant status reports. Inside, the Salle des Miroirs glittered gold, chandeliers newly polished as though to mock last night's ash. Backstage, young models buzzed like dragonflies. We elders stood together in quiet solidarity, gowns reborn. Mine now featuring scorched cassette ribbon twisting down the spine like a serpent that had survived fire. Greater than senior model Ida, whisper, ***. Our wrinkles carry more stories than their press releases. We laughed softly. The show began. Music, lights, the perfume of nerves. One by one, models strode down the mirrored runway, a kaleidoscope of youth, applause polite, Finally, house lights dimmed. The bass faded to a single heartbeat. Spotlight ignited center stage. I stepped forward. The silent gasp of hundreds felt like wind beneath my ribcage. Each mirror threw back a legion of elder Ellies, all aflame yet unconsumed. I walked slower than rehearsed, letting every footfall echo. Halfway, I sensed motion in the balcony. A figure rising, arm lifting. Something metallic glinted. Time stuttered. My next step hovered mid-air. Viveka's voice barked from the wings. Down! I dropped, gown pooling like spilled midnight. A sharp crack split the hush. Glass exploded from a mirror behind me, showering the runway in diamonds. Screams erupted. Security swarmed. Maribel bolted from backstage, her cry ripping my name into shards of terror. I pressed palms to the floor, heart a jackhammer, ears ringing. Smoke of gunpowder, tiny but undeniable, clung to the air. Hash, the cliffhanger. Security dragged the shooter. Yes, gun in hand, toward the exit. Through the cacophony, I glimpsed a familiar crest stitched on their jacket. Maribel's College. Faces blurred. Sound tunneled. My mind clutched one frantic thought. Was this about me, or about Maribel? The difference suddenly mattered more than any runway. Sirens wailed outside as police breached the hall, and I realized the mirrors might reflect many Ellies, but only one lay on this glass-studded stage, alive, shaken, and forever changed. And somewhere beyond the sirens and screams, I felt destiny inhale again, preparing to blow the embers of my resolve into a new, unpredictable blaze. I did not sleep the night the rain finally broke. The storm that had hammered my little cottage for 2 days straight departed at dawn, leaving a cold, surgical hush behind it. An operating theater stripped of nurses and noise but still pungent with antiseptic. I stood barefoot on the kitchen tiles, kettle rumbling beside me, and watched the sky turn a pale, apologetic pink. The garden was a ruin of battered delphiniums, toppled bird feeders, and one heroic rosebush defying gravity in the corner like a ballerina refusing her final bow. Everything felt wrong-sized, the silence too loud, the kettle too shrill, my heartbeat too slow. The brick, yes, that brick, now lived on the mantelpiece, evidence of a crime and a totem of resolve all at once. I had scrubbed it clean but left the note in its twine collar. Sometimes, in the hush between thoughts, I imagined it still smelled of exhaust fumes and adolescent panic. Maribel had not called. The last message from her reads simply asterisk, "We need to talk, but I'm in lectures till late." That was 46 hours ago. I tried to picture her bright hair bent over a sketchbook, her coppery brows drawn together in concentration, but the image kept dissolving into the memory of her eyes wide, as full moons from the foot of the Bath runway. A granddaughter half proud, half afraid, and rapidly losing control of a story she had once authored. Asterisk, you have 48 hours, Mrs. Whitcomb, asterisk. The police took my statement about the brick, but their shoulders emitted polite indifference. Student prank, the constable said, lips pursed in the universal dialect of paperwork fatigue. He promised to make inquiries at Maribel's College, but confessed resources were thin. Asterisk, we'll ring if we learn anything concrete. Asterisk, concrete, I'd discovered, was a luxury we seldom get. Most of life is spent tiptoeing across wet cement, footprints blurring before we turn back to admire them. That morning, however, I received something unexpectedly solid, a registered envelope from Paris. Greater than Madame Whitcomb. Asterisk. Greater than, we are delighted to confirm your selection as the closing model for the Maison Cerf Blanc Winter Haute Couture presentation, to be held at the Palais de Tokyo next Friday at 2100. Fitting scheduled for Thursday, 10 o'clock. First-class travel and hotel arrangements enclosed. Greater than, we await your brilliance. Greater than, Etienne Duchamp. Directrice Artistique asterisk. First class, Palais de Tokyo. Brilliance. Words that belong to some younger incarnation of me, or perhaps a daughter I never had. now perched in my trembling hands. I looked at the garden. The lone rosebush caught a shaft of sun and shimmered as though someone had dusted it with confectioner's sugar. I exhaled, long and thin, the way Kala had taught me before each runway walk. Release doubt molecule by molecule. Right, I said to no one. Let's find you a passport, Ellie. ###, the train north and the ghost of Jeffrey Whitcomb. A passport, yes. But first, I needed courage. Oddly enough, I suspected I had misplaced that upstairs at my daughter Helena's house, near Sheffield. Jeffrey and I had lived there during his final year, and when he passed, I fled south, leaving boxes of memories marooned in Helena's attic. So I rang her, half expecting protest. Instead, my daughter's voice bloomed with the warmth of dandelion honey. *, Mom, of course. Come, the spare bed is made. *. I booked a rail ticket for that afternoon. The journey north carved through green England like a scalpel. I watched cathedral spires and power stations slide by, felt the gentle rock of the carriage, and let the rhythm unknot me. Across the aisle sat a teenage boy streaming a video on his phone, volume low but subtitles sprinting across the glass. Runway relic returns. Can a 6'2" YEAR old grandma command Paris? He hadn't recognized me. I resisted the juvenile thrill of leaning over and whispering *. She already did. *. Instead, I opened my notebook and began a letter to Maribel I did not intend to send, stitching words together like patches on a quilt. Greater than my dearest Belle. Greater than New K's. You deserve more than my silence. You deserve to know why I'm choosing to walk into the blaze rather than retreat to the cool shade. It isn't vanity. It's reclamation of time, of voice, of the right to take up space in a world that edits older women out like unwanted punctuation. The train hummed on, ink puddled under my handwriting, and somewhere near Derby, I felt Jeffrey sit beside me. An impossible comfort, yes, but a comfort nonetheless. He smelled of cedar and engine grease, the way he had the summer he rebuilt the Morris Minor. Greater than *. You never did anything half-hearted, *, he said, or perhaps I only imagined it. *, so why start now? *. I smiled at the window, at my own reflection looking suddenly less invisible and more inevitable. ###, Helena, the attic, and the unopened box. My daughter met me at the station, arms open, eyes studying my face the way an art restorer searches for hidden paint beneath varnish. She said nothing of Maribel's posts. She only tucked my arm in hers and guided me to the car. Her house smelled of cinnamon and wood polish. In the kitchen, my teenage grandson Oliver sat gaming with headphones the size of dinner plates. He glanced up and gave a grin. "Gran, you're trending again. Sick." "Sick meaning good?" I asked. "Sick meaning legendary," he said, then returned to alien warfare on the screen. Helena poured tea, but I was already scanning the ceiling hatch. "Attic?" She nodded. The ladder groaned under my weight. Metal complaining about my 7 stone, and a pocket full of nerves. Dust motes spiraled in torchlight. I found the cardboard archive labeled Knives ELLIE, personal. Beneath a crocheted blanket lay my passport, still valid, Jeffrey's wartime service pin, and a small sealed envelope addressed to *Maribel. I froze, heart loud. This was Jeffrey's handwriting. The seal cracked easily. Inside was a single page, ink slightly faded. Greater than to my future granddaughter, *. Greater than I haven't met you yet, little star, but I will know you by the fierceness in your eyes. If ever you doubt your worth, look at your grandmother. She is a map of every place courage can take you. Greater than love, Grandpa Jeef. Tears blurred the torch beam. Helena's voice drifted from below. "Mom, you all right?" "More than," I whispered, folding the letter with reverence. "Much more than. ### 48 hours tick. We spent the next day shopping for luggage at the Meadowhall Center, a cathedral of consumerism that made my head spin. Helena insisted on buying me a sleek roller case the color of gunmetal. Elite luggage for an elite model, she joked. We lunched on sushi. I practiced chopsticks. Progress was sticky, but delicious. That evening, a call lit my phone. A withheld number. I answered, half expecting a journalist. Silence. Then a digitally distorted voice. You have 48 hours, Mrs. Whitcomb. Stay home or the runway burns. Click. I stared at the darkened screen, pulse staccato. Helena saw my face and tore the phone from my hand. When she rang back, the number was unreachable. Fear is a feral thing. It prowls the edges of reason, waiting for soft places to bite. I felt its teeth. But courage. Asterisk Jeffrey once said, is fear that's had tea and decided to stay anyway. I brewed a pot, ###, London Euston, 24 hours left. The morning train to London was delayed by overhead line failure, compressing my schedule into a tense origami. Maribel finally rang as we crawled past Watford. Nana, she said, voice quivering like cello strings. I heard about the call. I'm so sorry. Darling, the threats aren't your fault. But they come from my world, she insisted. And, well, my classmate Adriana confessed it was her boyfriend who threw the brick. My spine cooled. She says he's obsessed with influencers. Thinks older creators steal algorithmic oxygen. He hates that you're more viral than his favorite 20-year-old dancer. Where is he now? Maribel sighed. Campus security banned him, but the police haven't arrested him yet. Nana? Maybe postpone Paris until it's safe? I looked out the window at rows of slate roofs glistening in drizzle. Safety, like concreteness, was another luxury. I can't, Belle. If I retreat, he wins. Worse, you learn that retreat is the only response to threat. I won't teach my granddaughter that lesson. Silence. Then a soft, I'll be in Paris front row. If anyone tries anything, my followers will live stream them into oblivion. I almost laughed. Our odd, digital era where justice could be crowdsourced. Bring a raincoat, I said. It might storm. ## fitting at Maison Surf Blanc *. The atelier smelled of cedar planks and expensive steam. Seamstresses with pincushion bracelets fluttered about like white moths. Etienne Duchamp greeted me with double kisses and eyes that assessed every freckle as though cataloging precious flaws. The closing garment waited on a headless mannequin. A coat dress carved from ivory wool crepe, shoulders sculpted into austere wings, the hem heavy with hand-embroidered poems, lines in French, English, and Braille stitched in silver thread. It's called ****, Les Chroniques Inoubliables ****, Etienne said. The chronicles no one forgets. I ran calloused fingers over the Braille beads. What does it say? He grinned. Your runway speech. We watched your bath charity walk 100 times. You raised funds and expectations. We wanted your story literally woven into cloth. Emotion clutched my throat. I had no speech prepared for Paris, yet here it was, already sewn. They fitted the dress to my frame, hem brushing the tops of my boots. Low heels this time, sturdy, ready for battle. Cameras flashed. I felt like a warrior queen being armored for a final siege. ###, halfway across the Bridge of Fear. That evening, I stood on the Pont d'Iéna, Eiffel Tower blazing against violet dusk. Cars whispered by, lovers strolled arm in arm, and somewhere a violinist coaxed La Vie en Rose into the cooling air. Halfway across that bridge, I exhaled a trembling breath and spoke aloud. Greater than, this story took us a long time. If you like it, subscribe. Now, back to the story. Tourists glanced. I chuckled at myself, but I felt Callah's coaching in my lungs, Gideon's belief in my spine, and Jeffrey's ghostly hand on my shoulder. Across the river, spotlights cut the sky, rehearsals for the show. Tomorrow night, I would walk under those lights with the weight of poems on my hem and threats in my ears. Showtime, 30 minutes to walk. Backstage at the Palais de Tokyo pulsed with controlled chaos. Models queued like chess pieces, each embodying a strategic move. Etienne embraced me, whispered, "Your courage is the crescendo, madame." Security doubled after the phone threat. Agents scanned every guest. Maribel arrived with Yara and my grandson Oliver, their badges marked VIP. She squeezed my hands. "Look, Nana." She turned her camera. Her live stream already hosted 78,000 viewers. Hearts and fire emojis cascaded. "You have your army," she said. Music surged. A haunting remix of Edith Piaf layered over industrial drums. The opener glided out. I closed my eyes, inhaled patchouli and hairspray. 10 minutes. The blackout. 5 minutes before my cue, the power blew. Everything collapsed into darkness so sudden it tasted metallic. A collective gasp rippled. Emergency lights flickered, weak red veins along the floor. I heard shouts, the muffled slam of a door, and then an alarm shrieked like a maddened gull. Someone grabbed my arm. Too strong, too rough for a stylist. Fingers dug into my bicep, pulling me toward a service corridor. "Madame, come, security protocol," a male voice hissed, French accent clouded by urgency. I resisted. "Show me your ID." No answer, just harder tugging. My heart kicked. In the dim glow I saw his face. Shaggy hair, sports cap, not staff. Adrenaline doesn't ask permission. I slammed my boot heel into his shin. He swore, grip loosening. I twisted free, stumbling against a rack of gowns. Light snapped back on. My attacker bolted, vaulting a crate, disappearing into the throng. Security radioed furiously. Guests buzzed, confused. But the music, as though governed by fate not electrics, thundered back to life. Call time. I smoothed Chroniques Inoubliables, steadied my breath. Fear quivered but did not rule. A stagehand gestured. "You're up." I stepped into the light. Words written in thread. The runway shone beneath me like a promise kept. Cameras flashed. The coat dress moved with solemn majesty, the embroidered poems catching every strobe. Halfway down, I felt heat at my back. No, not heat, a presence. I risked a glance. The assailant had slipped through security and was sprinting onto the runway, something glinting metal in his hand. The crowd gasped. 1,000 phones rose. Maribel's live feed jittered as Oliver shouted her name. I turned fully, standing my ground at center stage, every spotlight converging. He charged, and I. The first thing I noticed about the Eurostar lounge at St. Pancras was how unnervingly bright it felt, fluorescent sincerity coating every chrome rail and vegan leather seat. I had expected the hush of privilege, but instead the room throbbed with a manic Airport Eve energy. Laptops flung open like gull wings, influencers live streaming their breakfast croissants, small children testing the echo capacity of high ceilings. In the middle of it all I stood, Eleanora Whitcomb, 62, provisional darling of the fashion world, unexpected avatar of intergenerational warfare, trying to decide whether my knees were shaking from nerves or the double espresso Kala had thrust upon me at dawn. Her phone, glued to her hand as usual, suddenly chirped. She glanced at the screen and winced. "What now?" I asked, tightening the belt of my sage green duster coat. Kala bit her lip before answering. Another thread on *Eldritch. I knew the app. An anonymous message board where fashion students sharpened their claws under the pretext of critique. Since my Bath runway debut, my name was a trending blade. Half the comments praised my audacity. The other half wanted my head delivered in a hat box for daring to invade their space. I held out my hand. Kala hesitated, then surrendered the phone. The top post read, ****, runway relic heading to Paris? Can someone please remind her there's a museum for fossils across the river? ****, laughter emojis, coffin emojis. A GIF of Jurassic Park's T-Rex roaring across the screen. I scrolled further. Death threats laced with couture jargon, speculation that Gideon Lamb paid for positive press, accusations of nepotism because Maribel was my granddaughter. It was vicious, but it was not new. What was new was the private message icon blinking at the bottom corner. I tapped. A single sentence glowed. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. If you value your granddaughter, turn around at Calais. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. There was an attached video clip. I hesitated, then pressed play. The footage was shaky, filmed at night, but the subject was unmistakable. Maribel leaving her Camden flat, fumbling for keys, glancing over her shoulder. The camera zoomed until her face filled the frame, fretful, exhausted, unconsciously tugging at the collar of her coat. The clip ended before she reached the minicab. A chill sluiced through me so fast I nearly dropped the phone. My espresso turned to iron in my stomach. Kala's hand touched my elbow. "Ellie? You've gone pale." I passed the phone back. "Delete that message, please. And block the sender." "Are you sure? We could show security." "Block them," I repeated. My voice sounded calm to my ears, but inside, tectonic plates creaked. I had already involved the police after the brick incident, an incident they politely filed under public mischief before recommending sturdier windows. If I told them about an anonymous threat across international borders, they would add a note to an overstuffed folder. Meanwhile, the train would depart. And Maribel, somewhere in London, would remain just as vulnerable. I reached a decision with the sharp clarity that sometimes blesses the terrified. "We go to Paris, we do the show, but first I need to place a call. ###. Chess moves and channel tunnels." While Kala negotiated extra luggage tags for Gideon's fragile garment bags, I slipped into the ladies' lounge and dialed Maribel. Signal stuttered. Her voicemail answered. My recorded voice asked her to, quote, "leave a lovely message after the beep." I pictured her phone buzzing on a cluttered work table, ignored while she pinned swatches to a mood board or scrolled through crisis tweets. She was trying, truly trying, to pivot her brand from snark to sincerity, but algorithms forgive slowly. I left a brisk message. "Darling, ring me immediately. And stay somewhere public until you do." Back in the main lounge, platform information flickered on the departures board. Our train, the 10:04 to Paris Nord, was now boarding. Gideon approached, shepherding models in oversized trench coats and bubble wrap headpieces. He saw my expression, halted. "Problem?" "Just family jitters," I said. "But I'm committed." His relief was near relief. "I'd be lost without you, Ellie. This show is everything." That surprised me, coming from a veteran designer. Gideon, sensing my curiosity, exhaled. "I mortgaged my studio for the Paris venue. If tonight flops, I'll be designing souvenir tea towels by Christmas." The stakes multiplied, not just my dignity and Maribel's safety, but Gideon's livelihood. I boarded the train, ###, across the French countryside. Once seated, we discovered the Wi-Fi refused to connect. Merciful, really, digital silence stirring anticipation into something like courage. Outside, England folded under gray sheets. Then the darkness of the tunnel swallowed us, and afterward came northern France, fields quilted in winter stubble, farmsteads blinking like embers beneath pewter skies. I watched hedges blur and let my breathing match the train's pulse. Colin napped, cheek pressed to the window. Gideon scribbled revisions to the running order. The other models, mostly millennials and Gen Z gender-fluid silhouettes, took covert selfies with me while pretending to stretch hamstrings. I allowed it. Let them document a grandmother adventuring. Let the record exist for other women who believed their best clothes were mothballed with their 40s. But beneath my placid smile, thoughts turned like a water wheel. Who sent that video? How did they know our timetable? Were they truly prepared to harm Maribel, or merely provoke panic? The answer arrived in Paris. ### Gare du Nord and the Whispering Man. Alighting into the grand, wrought iron expanse of the station, we were met by a crush of commuters and a smell of roasting chestnuts. Gideon's team gathered at the taxi rank. A man in a charcoal coat brushed past me and murmured, Rue d'Anguien, mezzanine floor, midnight. He slid a small envelope into my coat pocket and vanished into the crowd. I stood motionless, heart gunning. The envelope, when I dared to open it, contained 2 items. A Polaroid of Maribel, clearly taken that same morning as she exited a Pret-a-Manger, and a note, ***** ticket for one. Leave the show early if you ever want to see her again. *****. An address in South London scrawled beneath. I swallowed bile. Kidnapping? Impossible. Maribel had posted an Instagram story only an hour ago. A latte, a sewing machine, a caption ***, grind never stops. Yet the Polaroid proved they were shadowing her with unnerving proximity. I crushed the envelope into my handbag just as Gideon called, Ellie, this way. We piled into 2 black vans. The venue, an abandoned Belle Epoque theater in the 10th arrondissement, awaited. Parisian traffic, however, had other plans. Horns bleated, scooters carved narrow lanes. Neon chemist crosses flashed emerald on sandstone facades. During the crawl across town, my phone finally rang. Maribel. I answered with desperation poorly disguised. Nana, hey. Her voice warbled under cafe clatter. Sorry I missed you earlier. We had a guest lecturer. Darling, listen carefully, I interrupted. Are you safe? Are you alone? She chuckled, assuming melodrama. I'm sewing buttons with 5 other students. Rachel keeps stealing my thimble. Good. Stay with them. Do not leave campus without a friend. In fact, avoid going home tonight. I'll book you a hotel in Zone 1. A pause. Nana, what's going on? I considered lying. Then I pictured the Polaroid. I received a threat. Someone filmed you. They want me to skip tonight's show. A soft intake of breath. But you can't. Gideon's counting on you. And I'm counting on your safety. My voice cracked. Promise me you'll stay somewhere public. Promise. I promise. She sounded older suddenly. You'll be incredible, Nana. Show them. The call ended. My eyes burned. Kala touched my hand. Do you need police? Not until we know the shape of the beast. And I thought, if they want to stop me, I'll give them spectacle instead. ### the Théâtre Céleste. No location could have suited a legend forging better. A dilapidated theater smelling of dust, history, and long extinguished footlights. Velvet seats sagged like tired monarchs. The stage, once trod by opera divas, now waited for Gideon's vision. A runway snaking past gilded proscenium arches, lit by salvaged chandeliers rewired with LED cores. Backstage, racks of garments formed shimmering corridors. Gideon's collection, Reclamation, Stardust, featured coats cut from cinema curtains, gowns spun from silk program fans, and my piece. A midnight blue pantsuit tailored from seats upholstery, brass button details cannibalized from balcony railings. It fitted me like a whispered secret, but while dressers pinned hemlines, I scanned every shadow for the coal-coated messenger. None appeared. Security staff patrolled. Gideon had hired ex-legionnaires, muscles tight as drumheads. Yet the threat wasn't brute. They were spider-smart, weaving fear's web while staying unseen. Rehearsal began. The thunder of bass vibrated dusty rafters. I walked the route twice. Each pass I felt more the theater's ghostly patrons leaning closer, curious if an old woman could resurrect the stage's grandeur. At 2000 doors opened. The audience trickled. Editors with platinum hair, buyers in sculptural blazers, influencers whose phones lit their faces like altar candles. Somewhere among them, perhaps, sat my enemy. Kala laced my boots. Showtime in 30. I closed my eyes, breathing deep. I must walk. But afterward? The ransom note demanded I leave early. They would be watching exits. Could I outwit them, rescue Maribel, and still preserve Gideon's dream? A tap on my shoulder. One of the security guards. Madam Whitcomb? A package for you. My stomach plummeted. He handed me a small black box tied with crimson ribbon. Inside, a single AirTag tracker and another Polaroid. Maribel framed in a library window, time-stamped 15 minutes ago. On the back of the photograph, *****, T-1 hour. *****. I weighed the tracker in my palm, bait to follow, or bug to trace me. Either way, time slipped. Gideon's voice crackled over walkie-talkie. Places in 2. I made a choice. ###, walk of reckoning. The house lights dimmed. A hush, like lungs collectively emptied. Music thundered, strings pulsing over industrial beats. The first model strode. Applause swelled. Backstage, I stepped into cue position, the AirTag secreted between lining and shell of my suit jacket, taped so it would broadcast my non-location, not Maribel's, my turn. I emerged, spotlight hot, and felt the theater's dusty ghosts rise and cheer. Each step was measured, heel strike, toe glide, shoulders proclaiming rebellion. Cameras flashed like white stars scattering across a nebula of menace. Halfway down the runway, I performed Gideon's planned flourish, a pivot that revealed the suit's shimmering back panels. In that pivot, I tugged loose the taped AirTag and palmed it beneath the coat's hem. Near the runway's apex stood a raised dais of VIPs, buyers from LVMH, Anna Wintour hidden behind sunglasses. And there, 3 rows farther back, him ***, the messenger from Gare du Nord, charcoal coat, discarded for a nondescript blazer, phone in hand, eyes locked on me. I kept my face serene, but inside adrenaline howled. At the runway's end I paused, longer than choreographed, long enough for every camera to focus. Then I blew a kiss. At the apex of that gesture, I flicked the AirTag into the front row, where it landed inside the open Dior tote of a blogger who didn't notice. Charcoal blazer man flinched, as though feeling the plan slip. I pivoted and continued my walk. Backstage exploded in cheers. Gideon clasped me. "You just sold the show!" But I pulled free, whispered, "Call the police to this coordinate." I scribbled the South London address on his palm. "Tell them hostage threat. Code violet. I must go." "Ellie, what? No time." I grabbed Kala. "Come with me or alert security." "I'm not leaving you," she said. ### escape into Paris night. We slipped through side corridors, skirts of scenery rigs catching my trousers. Dust devils swirling. At the stage door I spotted Charcoal Blazer striding into the alley, scanning. I hissed and pulled Kala behind a lighting crate. He dialed a phone, speaking in staccato French. A black motorbike idled at curb. My blood roared. I pulled Kala's arm. Back upstairs, Plan B. Inside, backstage chaos covered us. I found Gideon's assistant Pierre, begged his pass to the theater roof terrace, an emergency smoking deck overlooking Boulevard Magenta. Pierre, believing it a diva whim, complied. The winter air slapped us when we climbed the narrow iron staircase. Paris glittered like spilt jewels. Kala hugged herself. "Ellie, what now?" "We're trapped." At least we're not holding that tracker." I peered over the balustrade. 2 stories down, Charcoal Blazer stalked the stage door queue, clearly receiving location pings that now pointed to the fashion blogger halfway across town. Kala gasped. "You out-wizarded him." "For the moment." I pulled my phone, called Maribel again. She answered on first ring. "I can't talk. I'm on the Northern Line," she said. "Get off at Euston. Find a British transport police officer. Say Operation Stardust. They'll know." They wouldn't, but authority obeys confident code words. A clang below. The charcoal man entered the theater through a side entrance, realizing the signal misled him. Time thinned, then footsteps behind us. I spun. Another figure emerged from the roof doorway. A woman in a midnight blue trench. Sunglasses at night. gloved hands. She removed the glasses. It was Lisette Marchand. Asterisk. Asterisk. Kala whispered. The critic from Le Mode Immodeste asterisk? Lisette's reviews were legendary for their cruelty. Eviscerations that could bankrupt designers. She smiled. Madame Whitcomb, we meet at last. Your defiance is exhilarating. Her accent rolled like velvet over razors. I said nothing, positioning myself between her and the staircase. Lisette produced a slim silver pistol from her coat. Don't look so shocked. The industry is poor, Chere. You were never meant to survive Bath. Yet now you threaten to rewrite our hierarchies. That cannot stand. Kala trembled. I raised a hand. Where is my granddaughter? Lisette shrugged. Safe, for now. Cooperation ensures continued safety. Camera flashes below indicated the show's finale. Crowd oblivious to rooftop drama. I noted the pistol lacked a silencer. A gunshot would echo, but roof beams creaked under decades of neglect. An idea flickered. I took one slow step sideways, boots crunching gravel. You know, Lisette, you remind me of my daughter when she first learned to fence. Lunged too early, overcommitted, lost her balance. Her grip tightened. Enough, I smiled. Indeed, and I stomped on a weak plank beside me. It cracked, gave way. I feigned losing footing. Lisette instinctively lunged, grabbing my arm, to steady me or push me. I used her momentum, twisting, guiding her forward. She stumbled, arms pinwheeling toward the cratered plank. The rotten wood collapsed. Lisette plunged waist-deep, pistol skittering across gravel. She screamed, legs dangling over the theater void. I seized Kala's hand and ran. Down the staircase, past confused stagehands, weaving through prop cages until we burst onto Boulevard Magenta where the world smelled of diesel and chestnuts. Sirens wailed in the distance, either for us or the show's after-party. We sprinted until breath tasted of iron. Kala hailed a taxi. Inside, I gave the driver an address I hadn't spoken aloud in years. 28 Adelaide Road, Camden Town. As we pulled away, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. You will regret this. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. A second later came an image. Maribel. Eyes taped. Seated in a dim room. I felt my own breath vanish. The driver asked, Madame, you all right? I forced words through ice-packed lungs. Just drive faster. Outside the window, Paris rolled by in smeared gold. My hands, usually steady from years of embroidery, shook. I had saved a runway but provoked a serpent. Now it held my granddaughter in its coils. And I had one night to cut her free. Dash 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 dot dot. End Part 6 cliffhanger. Marble vaulted ceilings swallow sound in peculiar ways. One moment, the world inside Paris's Palais Garnier roared with 100 hammers striking 100 runways. The next, silence pooled so thick, I could taste dust motes on my tongue. I had stepped off the Eurostar at dawn, my heart still thrumming from the cliff-edge ending of Maribel's frantic midnight call. Greater than Maribel, whispering through tears hours earlier. Asterisk. Nana, they're planning something. Some of the students from my program. They're furious. You're opening the Belle Epoque revival show tonight. They said you're hijacking the spotlight. I tried to argue, but... Ellie, they mean to humiliate you on stage. Her words echoed the brick once hurled through my window. An older woman's success, it seemed, threatened an entire economy of youth worship. I told her where I was, the lounge at St. Pancras, and that my train was boarding. Asterisk, meet me in Paris. Asterisk, I said. Asterisk, if you dare trust me. The line clicked dead before I could finish. Now, inside the Garnier, Gideon's Parisian counterpart, legendary avant-gardiste Mireille Rousseau asterisk, had transformed the opera house into a labyrinth of mirrored scaffolds. Models would ascend cramped iron stairs, cross catwalks cantilevered over the gilded audience boxes, then descend to a main stage drenched in lilac spotlights. The effect was to trap the viewer's gaze in an infinity of reflections, each garment reborn in ripples of polished glass. I watched a rehearsal from behind a velvet curtain, noting how slender ankles quaked on the narrow walkways. If someone wished to sabotage a show, a misplaced heel or a slick of oil along those catwalks would do. Mireille approached, black pencil tucked through her coiled gray hair. Bonsoir, Madame Whitcomb. You bring the English mist with you. She pressed both cheeks to mine. Gideon swears by your presence. How do you feel? Like a tree about to be struck by lightning, I confessed. Her laugh cracked like dry cedar. Then let us sharpen your roots. Hash, 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 the beast within the mirror. During fittings, I sensed eyes tracking my every sigh. Some curious, some admiring, but a few smoldering with resentment. One such gaze belonged to Lucinda Line *, Maribel's glamorous coursemate, influencer, and self-appointed voice of Gen Z couture. She stalked the wings in serpentine satin, phones streaming live commentary. Here we have couture's answer to climate change. Just recycle your grandma. Her 3 million followers lapped it up. Lucinda shot me a sugary smile as seamstresses pinned Mireille's pièce de résistance around my shoulders. A structured floor-length coat fashioned from antique opera curtains, their burgundy velvet watermarked with hidden constellations of gold thread. Beneath, wide-legged trousers made from repurposed tuxedo silks rendered my stride a whisper. "You're brave," Lucinda murmured, stepping uncomfortably close. "Must be terrifying walking up there at, 65? 62, I replied. Terrifying, yes. But not nearly as terrifying as discovering one's relevance expires faster than a story post. Her cheeks blotched crimson, she spun away. Hash, hash, hash. A whisper of oil. Mid-afternoon, an intern named Jules, freckled, anxious, found me in wardrobe. He twisted his lanyard, eyes wide. "Madame, qu'il y a un problème." I saw Lucinda's assistant wiping the north catwalk with something from a canister. "It smells like silicone vinyl spray." I thanked him, heart ricocheting. That walkway rose 3 stories above marble floors. One slip could break bones. Or end a life. I located Mireille. She stiffened. If we halt the show, sponsors will crucify us. Yet if we proceed and anyone is injured. I remembered Jeffrey's palm steadying my bicycle. Balance through trust. I breathed. "We proceed," I said, "but on equal footing." Hash, hash, hash the pact. Maribel burst into the dressing suite moments later. She wore no makeup, curls flying, cheeks blotched from the sprint. "Nana, I'm sorry. I tried to stop them, but—" I clasped her face. "You didn't fail me, darling, but you can help me now." We hatched a plan as stylists wove through racks like busy bees. Hash, hash, hash. Curtain up. Evening descended. Paris traffic honked tributes outside. Inside, house lights dimmed to a hush so total my pulse became percussion. Mireille addressed the crowd from the stage. "Tonight we reclaim ghosts. Fabrics discarded by history, reborn on bodies society casts aside. Youth, age, gender, all cloth waiting its pattern." Thunderous applause. Backstage. Kala squeezed my hand. "Your cue is third. Remember, left foot first. Breathe." Model after model disappeared up the scaffold staircase, heels clacking metal. On monitors, we watched expressions transform, rookie dread becoming peacock glory in a single stride. When Lucinda's turn came, she floated past, deliberately brushing my sleeve. The silicone spray glinted faintly on her stilettos. My stomach knotted. Then the stage manager nodded. It was my climb. Hash, 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 catwalk of glass. The iron steps bit into my soles, but I ascended steadily, the coat's constellation lining swishing like a hush of angels. At the top platform, the full vista unfurled. Grand chandelier, red velvet seats, a sea of phone lights bobbing like constellations answering mine. I stepped onto the north catwalk. The silicone film surrendered beneath my first heel, too slick. My foot skidded, gasps rippled below. Yet anticipation had armed me. I shifted weight, knees bent, turning the slide into a measured glide. Measure balance through trust. The coat flared, velvet galaxies whirling. Adrenaline crystallized into poise. Her cheeks blotched crimson. She spun away. Hash, hash, hash. A whisper of oil. Mid-afternoon, an intern named Jules, freckled, anxious, found me in wardrobe. He twisted his lanyard, eyes wide. Madame, qu'a un problème? I saw Lucinda's assistant wiping the north catwalk with something from a canister. It smells like silicone vinyl spray. I thanked him, heart ricocheting. That walkway rose 3 stories above marble floors. One slip could break bones, or end a life. I located Mireille. She stiffened. If we halt the show, sponsors will crucify us. Yet if we proceed and anyone is injured. I remembered Jeffrey's palm steadying my bicycle. Balance through trust. I breathed. We proceed, I said, but on equal footing. Hash, 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 the pact. Maribel burst into the dressing suite moments later. She wore no makeup, curls flying, cheeks blotched from the sprint. Nana, I'm sorry. I tried to stop them, but... I clasped her face. You didn't fail me, darling, but you can help me now. We hatched a plan as stylists wove through racks like busy bees. Hash, 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 curtain up. Evening descended. Paris traffic honked tributes outside. Inside, house lights dimmed to a hush so total my pulse became percussion. Mireille addressed the crowd from the stage. Tonight we reclaim ghosts. Fabrics discarded by history reborn on bodies society casts aside. Youth, age, gender, all cloth waiting its pattern. Thunderous applause. Backstage, Kala squeezed my hand. Your cue is third. Remember, left foot first. Breathe. Model after model disappeared up the scaffold staircase, heels clacking metal. On monitors, we watched expressions transform, rookie dread becoming peacock glory in a single stride. When Lucinda's turn came, she floated past, deliberately brushing my sleeve. The silicone spray glinted faintly on her stilettos. My stomach nodded. Then the stage manager nodded. It was my climb. Hash, 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 catwalk of glass. The iron steps bit into my soles, but I ascended steadily, the coat's constellation lining swishing like a hush of angels. At the top platform, the full vista unfurled. Grand chandelier, red velvet seats, a sea of phone lights bobbing like constellations answering mine. I stepped onto the north catwalk. The silicone film surrendered beneath my first heel. Too slick. My foot skidded. Gasps rippled below. Yet anticipation had armed me. I shifted weight, knees bent, turning the slide into a measured glide. The coat flared, velvet galaxies whirling. Adrenaline crystallized into poise. Halfway across I halted, letting spotlights drink in every thread. Feigning a dramatic flourish, I knelt, knee-pressing the slick surface to show dominion, and with a subtle motion drew from my pocket the small linen pouch Maribel had given. Inside, handfuls of superfine theater rosin powder. As I rose, I dusted the rosin along the path behind me. It glittered like frost under beams, transforming treachery into traction. Applause erupted. A trick no one understood but everyone felt. When I reached the center platform shared by all 3 catwalks, Lucinda was approaching from the east, hips swaying in bias-cut taffeta. She expected the silicone glide, an invisible moving walkway of sabotage. But now her soles found unexpected grip. She stumbled forward, momentum stolen, arms pinwheeling. I caught her wrist. Phones exploded in flashes. Lucinda's mascara-inked eyes met mine, horror mingling with relief. I steadied her, raising our linked hands like prize-fighters who fought and survived. The crowd roared. Hash, 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 redemption is contagious. Backstage chaos followed the finale. Designers wept. Investors pledged extra funding. Models hugged in delirious exhaustion. Mireille sought me out, pressing a thumb drive into my palm. The Garnier requested 2 encore shows. They want Marriott the voiceover. Say yes. Before I could reply, Lucinda appeared, flanked by her assistant streaming live. She spoke to the camera first. I owe tonight to the grace of a woman twice my age and infinitely wiser. I tried to make her slip. She helped me stand. "Follow Mrs. Whitcomb, not me." She turned, voice cracking. "I'm sorry." I forgave her. Publicly. Because forgiveness, like love, multiplies when shared. Hash, hash, hash. A walk beside me. Maribel and I found a quiet corner beneath a forgotten fresco of nymphs. She brushed tears away. "Nana, I used you as a punchline, and you turned it into a headline." "I turned it into a lifeline," I corrected gently. "For both of us." She laughed. "Will you teach me to walk like that? Only if you teach me how to upload a story without accidentally adding a cartoon pig filter again." We sealed the bargain with eclairs from a caterer's tray. Hash hash hash. Letters in the dark. That night, in a modest hotel room overlooking the Seine, I opened my email. Opportunities bloomed. Keynote talks on ageless empowerment, a sustainable fashion label seeking collaborator input, a literary agent intrigued by memoir possibilities, yet one message caused my breath to catch. Subject: Asterisk Bath Community College invitation. Body: Asterisk asterisk. Dear Mrs. Whitcomb, our fashion communication students have been following your journey. Would you consider guest lecturing next term? The young could benefit from your resilience. The sender? Lucinda Lane. I typed a reply. Only if the students are prepared to stand on catwalks that aren't smooth. I pressed send. Hash hash hash. Homecoming. A week later, back in the Avon Valley, frost gilded my rose beds. Yara greeted me with honey cake and a copy of Vogue UK whose cover bore my face. Silver hair unfurled. Gideon's midnight velvet framing me like a nebula. The headline: Time is a fabric. How Eleanora Whitcomb redefined runway age. The local postman, Dennis, lingered longer than usual to ask for an autograph for his daughter. I obliged, laughing at the absurdity of it all. Inside, I brewed elderflower gin and drafted notes for the Bath lecture. Maribel FaceTimed to debate slide design. She insisted on tasteful gifts of my catwalk save. We argued, we laughed, we learned. Hash hash hash, the final spotlight. Weeks swelled into months. Winter receded. Crocuses pierced earth. My schedule pulsed with talks, shoots, and the hum of becoming. Yet I protected pockets of stillness. Mornings steeped in tea. Evenings serenaded by blackbirds. In March, I returned to the Palais Garnier for a charity revival show. This time I did not walk alone. Beside me strode Maribel, clad in recycled chiffon collaged from her own once popular fast fashion hauls. Our joint strides sent a message louder than internet vitriol. The runway is wide enough for every age. When we reached center stage, I faced the audience. Breath calm as more fog. Style, I said into the microphone, is not a season of youth. It is the weather of the soul. The hall erupted. Lights dimmed. Music sighed. I took my granddaughter's hand, and together we bowed beneath a sky of chandeliers. From somewhere high in the boxes, I imagined Jeffrey's applause. Steady, proud, balance, at last. 2 more great stories are next. Don't miss them. Subscribe and turn on notifications. That is Boys and Eyes.